Welcome to another episode of J&Q Sports Talk. I'm Jay.
I'm Q.
And we got a really good episode for you here today. Last night, obviously, the national championship between Virginia and Texas Tech. The battle of the defensive teams. And Virginia came out victorious in overtime to secure their first national championship. Fun fact here for you before we really dive in. That was the first national championship game since 1979 to feature two teams playing in their first ever national championship.
Also, another fun fact for you, Jay. If Texas Tech would have won that game, that would have been the second team in the state of Texas history to ever win a national championship.
Well, that right there is just shocking. Just to think of all the schools they have: Baylor,
Especially
TCU.
with, geographically the biggest state in the country.
Right. But
I guess that's why they're a football school. Football state. Sorry.
They're a big football state. But just a battle of the defensive teams. But in the end, like I've always said, offense wins championships. You know, I hear the defense wins championships, but you know their defenses got them there last night.
First of all, Virginia wouldn't have gotten where they were if it wasn't for their defense.
Right.
But, I believe you said the first team to score 40 points would be the winner. I'm sorry, something like that.
Yeah, I said something to the effect of first one to 50 points wins the game.
Was Virginia.
Virginia was the first team to 50, but it ended up being more of a high-scoring game than I thought. But either way, in the first 5 minutes there, it was just unbearable to watch. I mean, just suffocating defense, and you're shooting heaves at the end of shot clocks, and just no team's getting any good looks. And finally, Texas Tech got in a rhythm. Moretti hit a three, and just got them going.
You know, Jay, is it the last podcast or two podcasts ago, you were talking about how every championship team had a good point guard. And the thing with this Virginia team, they have good guard, Jerome, but they more so of a backcourt. They had a really good backcourt with Kyle Guy and Jerome. And
even Kihei Clark, the freshman, he stepped up big. And I think that was the difference. They had two true point guards on the floor in Clark and Jerome, plus, obviously I'm going to go ahead and say it, one of the more clutch free throw shooters the NCAA tournament's ever seen, hitting 3 free throws to send them to the national championship, Mr. Kyle Guy. He can handle the ball as well. So that always helps when you have 3 extremely good ball handlers. And, I think Virginia never got rattled last night. I think Texas Tech did a little bit. Again, with Texas Tech, they don't really have a true point guard. Moretti would rather shoot it. Mooney would rather come off-ball screens and shoot it. Jarrett Culver's just an unbelievable player. So, to win national championship, you got to have a good backcourt, and Virginia did that.
Also, it includes having a good head coach, and I've been impressed with Tony Bennett, head coach of Virginia, and I think he's turned their basketball program around. Ever since he came in 2009, he's put them in the right path.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. But I've always been, for the past few years, I've said Virginia's style will never win a national championship. I guess I'm gonna have to change my thought on that after the win last night. But I still feel like you gotta put points on the board to win national championships. I don't think you're gonna win a national championship scoring that low. And they had to score in the 80s last night to win. So just Tony Bennett, really, I'm going to say it, first time I've ever said this, really good coach. He proved that last night. Never got rattled, never showed that he'd never been there before. And neither did Chris Beard at Texas Tech. Think about this. I think it was 6 years ago, Chris Beard was not coaching Division I basketball. He got a job at Arkansas Little Rock, made the most of it there in, I believe, 2 years. Took him to the NCAA tournament his second year and beat Purdue. Beat Purdue in a first-round game to win a first-round NCAA tournament game against the Boilermakers, and then ended up losing in the second round. But that really elevated him and got a job at Texas Tech. And obviously he's turned that program around. I don't think anybody's ever really won at Texas Tech. No. Just a tough place, just a tough gig, and he's made the most of it.
Just to brag real quick, Jay, Jay and I are in. If you didn't know, Jay and I are in a ESPN bracket challenge group with the Marshall County High School basketball team, and it consists of the players, and me and Jay are in it, and I finished first place at 98.2% with Virginia winning, and I'm not sure if Jay can get over it or not.
Well, Quinn, I'm going to be honest. I had, as I believe you did, you could have two brackets in it. As I believe you did, you had Duke winning. I think everybody had at least one bracket in there with Duke winning. Just they were the favorite all year. But anyway, I went in my second bracket. I went Michigan State to win the national championship. So Texas Tech showed their killed them.
To my advantage, I did make 11 brackets, or actually 10. So,
but you entered the right one to win.
Right.
So you had Virginia winning, and just from a team. Let's just talk about from losing last year to probably one of the ultimate turnarounds in all of sports. I can't really think of one that's bigger. The Warriors giving up a 3-1 lead, then coming back the next year and winning is not really the same. Adding the second best player in the world in Kevin Durant to do it. Virginia really has the same team. Last year, getting beat by UMBC without DeAndre Hunter. So they got beat. Granted, that's not an excuse for them losing, but they didn't have DeAndre Hunter. They lose. They come back this year with DeAndre Hunter, and DeAndre Hunter showed last night how important he was, scoring 27 points in the national championship.
It's important. You look at all your championship teams, and that they all have 4-year guys, even 5-year guys. Mm-hmm. They have veterans, and that I feel like as a Kentucky fan, that was one of our big problems. Is that's a common thing for Kentucky and Duke as well. Honestly, is class. Not as much experience, and you need your veterans to take charge, and Virginia had that.
Well, speaking of the one and done and what you may have it, if you look in the past 4 years, Villanova in 2016, led by senior guards Ryan Arcidiacono and Chris Jenkins, I believe, was a junior. So, they had veteran backcourts. 2017, I believe, North Carolina won it. Marcus Page was a senior. Joel Berry was a junior. Justin Jackson was a sophomore or junior. So they were very – the one-and-done era has seen one national championship built around one-and-done teams, and that was the 2012 Kentucky team. I believe they may have had one upperclassman
Darius Miller
in the rotation.
He is actually the all-time. He leads Kentucky in all-time games played.
Mm-hmm. So he would have been one of them, the one upperclassman, and then Duke in 2015 is on the edge. That was the year Tyus Jones and Jahlil Okafor and Justice Winslow were the big three. But even that team, I fell in love with that team as a Duke fan, and they had Matt Jones, a senior shooting guard who could just flat out play. He was a big leader, big vocal guy. So was Emil Jefferson, and as well off the bench they had a big guy, one of the Plumlee brothers. They've had like 7, it seems like.
What year was it?
2015.
I guess that would be Mason.
Yeah. So
Mason's the oldest.
Marshall. It was Marshall.
Miles.
Marshall Plumlee was the last, I believe, and he.
Mason, Miles, Marshall.
Right. Yeah. So I think it was like 7 or 8 straight years of Plumlee being on the Duke team. So
gotta love Plumlees. I hate Duke, but I like the Plumlees.
Yeah, play hard, but just getting back to the one and done thing, I believe if they get rid. I think a rule should be in place. You can go whenever. If you want to go straight out of high school, you can. Zion Williamson would have been playing in the NBA right now. Marvin Bagley would have been playing in the NBA last year. I think that changes from who can recruit to who can actually coach.
Real quick, Jay. This is a little off topic, but since you're a Duke fan, I'm sure you've heard in the news how there's been reports of Zion Williamson's mother accepting money from Nike. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. It seems like every school is going to come down with something. You can't really. Kansas was caught saying they're going to offer Zion $100,000 to come to Kansas. So if he turns down Kansas for $100,000 but comes to Duke for free,
You're on draft day, 100,000 is just going to be, nothing.
right.
Nothing.
But I think he was. I'm going to be honest. I think he was paid, but I believe, he's not the only college basketball player that's ever been paid. I believe, I'm not going to turn this back on Kentucky, but Calipari's not Mr. Clean himself. I think he's Mr. Recruiting a little dirty, but every coach does.
It hasn't been proved.
You're right. There hasn't been proof. He's done it the right, wrong way, I guess.
Swept under the rug, I mean, there's.
But when you're talking about a guy that does it the right way, I mean, Tony Bennett really comes to mind. I mean, not how many one and dones has he had? 0. I mean, he's had 4 of the last. This is a stat that really impressed me. He's had 4 of the last 5 ACC Defensive Players of the Year. Think about that. Of the last 5 years, the ACC Defensive Player of the Year, great league, great players, great defensive players. He's had 4 of the last 5. DeAndre Hunter this year. So just a guy that I mean, he's one of the best defensive-minded coaches in the game right now. He's developed an offense that suits his guys very well.